Thank you all for being here. Again, my name is Michael Haggard, along with Adam Finkel, my partner, and Ben Crump and Natalie Jackson and Wade Roll. We're here to announce today that we have filed this tragic wrongful death lawsuit in the terrible mass shooting that occurred on August 26 of 2023 at the Dollar General at 2161 Kings Road. This totally preventable accident took the lives of Gerald Gallion, 29 years old, who was simply shopping in the aisles of that Dollar General that day. Angela Carr, 52 years old, who was an Uber driver, dropping off her fare in the parking lot, who was shot just for being black. And Anol Legary, the 19-year-old clerk, who was sitting behind the desk just doing his job that day. They leave behind Gerald's mother, Carol Gibbs, his daughter, Jaisha Jones Gallion, her mom, Taisha Jones. Young Anolt leaves behind his brother, Quantavious, his father, Anolt Sr., and Angela Carr left behind 3 children, one of which is with us today, Armisha Payne. We have brought this case against several defendants, but I want to start with Dollar General in this case. As we all know, Dollar General is a large national company, in fact, the fastest retail giant in the United States of America. They have put profits over people for years. They have had over 50 murders at their properties across the United States. There is no company that has been fined more by their Department of Labor and by OSHA than Dollar General. They continually have assaults, violent batteries, attempted murders, robberies at their stores. In fact, police chiefs across America have been quoted as saying they are simply a magnet for crime. In fact, in this case, Anol Legary worked there, and they hid from him the crime history that was going on at this particular Dollar General. And he lost his life that day, as well as Ms. Carr and Mr. Gallion. And what do we know about whether this terrible tragedy could have been prevented? Well, we know it absolutely would have been prevented. And the reason we know that is the shooter went to the first dollar store, Family Dollar store, right down the street that day. Right down the street that day, he went there and he saw a first security van pull up. He saw the van, he had his backpack pulled out, he got immediately back in his car. He wasn't done. He went to Edward Waters College, where he got out of the car, started to put on his military-style tactical vest, about to attack an HBU full of classes that had over 100 people in them. And thank God he was stopped by Lieutenant Antonio Bailey, who, as we know in the local community, is a hero, who he confronted him. And what did he do? He left. But unfortunately, he went right down the road to this Dollar General where there was no security. Even with their awful history that they have across the country, where everyone else had security that day, Dollar General had no security, which we know would have prevented this incident from at least from occurring there. And these families have lost everything. And they are here so that this never happens again. We have a gigantic gun violence problem, a mass shooting violence problem in the United States of America. And these families right here have had enough. We hear it constantly over and over again. I've been involved in the Parkland shooting, in the UVA shooting of the 3 football players. Ben Crump will talk to you about the Tops shooting. It has got to stop. And if our government's not going to do anything, corporations who grow with massive profits have to protect our families and our communities. I'd like to introduce our co-counsel, my longtime colleague and friend, Ben Crump, to talk to you about some of the issues involving the white supremacy and racist motivations in this particular case.
Thank you very much, Mike. Love you, brother. And I'm very honored to work with Mike Haggard, a great negligent security attorney who works all over the country, and equally honored to work with Wade Roll, a great lawyer who hails here in Jacksonville, Florida, and certainly to Natalie Jackson who is the most brilliant of all of us, and Adam Finkel, who has been the inspiration of this pleading, has worked tirelessly day and night. Make no mistake about it, what Mike said was true. This lawsuit is being filed today because Angela Carr mattered. Jarian Gallon mattered. A.J. Laguerre mattered. And this lawsuit is filed so their death are not just swept under the rug, as has been the case far too many times in far too many mass shootings in America. And now we have to get to the crux of the matter, why these mass shootings keep happening at this phenomenal rate. At this rate, it's happening because of hate. It's simple and plain. Did you read the manifesto from this coward? It was very similar to the manifesto of the coward in Buffalo, New York, who killed those black people. And it's similar to the young white supremacist Dylan Roof. Y'all remember him? Who killed 9 of the most innocent black people you could ever find in Mount Moriah Church. And so we have to speak truth to power. This lawsuit is about directly speaking truth to power. I think Attorney Haggard and Jackson and Finkel did such a masterful job at being able to say, Dollar General, the blood is on your hand too, because we have ocular proof. And Mike, you and Ray, we are ocular proof, visual evidence that the presence of a security guard would have made all the difference in the world. All the difference in the world. She would have her daddy. If that security, if Dollar General didn't put profits over people, she would have her daddy. Amisha would have her mother. Quartavius would have his brother. They would have their loved ones. Because when you get this combination of putting profits over people and putting racist ideology, then it is a recipe for disaster. And I just keep thinking, this reminds me, Mike, of the emotions after the Buffalo Tops mass shooting, where that young white supremacist had been radicalized. He had been radicalized under this white replacement theory, that we got to kill them because they're taking over our country. They're going to replace us. So, I mean, whether it's social media or it's the talking heads pumping this garbage and this ignorance into these young people's minds, where this young man travels to a historically black college university because he wants to kill as many black people as he can. We have to speak truth to power. In Tops Supermarket in Buffalo, the guy drove 3 hours from his home to find where black people live because he wanted to kill as many black people as he could. And Dylan Roof drove to find that black church because it's hate. It's hate, and it is magnified when you put profits over people and you don't have the measures in place to say we can at least try to make our customers, who we take money from every day when they come on our premises, we're going to try to have them be safe. Mike Haggard goes all over America talking about premise liability and how we keep the premises safe. Well, newsflash, Dollar General, you can keep your premises safe by just having a security guard. It does get emotional because you get tired of having to be with families who lose their loved ones senselessly, taken from this earth far too soon over hate and greed. We better than this, America. We better than this. Adam Finkel, I think now is going to introduce you to some of the family members who are going to speak to you, who's a great young lawyer, did great work on this case. And after that, Attorney Haggard and the other lawyers and the families will try to answer your questions. Understand, it's emotional for us lawyers. You can only imagine how emotional it is for these families as they continue down in this journey for justice. So they'll do their best, but it is emotional. Attorney Finkel.
Good morning, everyone. Mr. Crump and Mr. Haggard can't say it better, but there's one thing that we can't even begin to feel as closely as what these families do. And that's the loss of their family member. Knowing intimately what the world has lost and what their family has. Each member of the family has somebody here that's willing to answer any questions that you may have, and we thank you so much for your time. We'd like to start with AJ's brother, Quan.
Good morning, everyone. Before I answer any questions, I'll just say a couple things about my brother. And I mean, not even just him, just everyone in general. I mean, this whole case, I mean, it's past just this case. Like, I'm so tired of hearing, oh, you know, he's in a better place. No, I want him here.
Amen.
I'm tired of hearing, oh, you know, he's watching over you. No, I want him here, you know? And people say cherish the memories that you have with him. No, I want to make more. He's my baby brother. He's supposed to bury me, not me burying him. You know, and you know, we were raised to do the right things, you know, go to school, don't be in the streets, don't sell drugs. Guess what AJ did? He followed and listened. And this is what he gets for repayment? To go to work and die? I'm tired of hearing it all, man, and it's not gonna change unless if we speak up.
Amen. Amen.
It's past AJ. It's past the other victims. This has been happening. And if Dollar General just simply had somebody there to be security, just as Family Dollar did, just as Edwards Waters did, I wouldn't be up here speaking about AJ. I'd be at home with AJ saying, dang, man, I'm glad your company, you know, took care of you and made sure that you was good. And, you know, let alone he never even got a referral. You know, our generation now is way different from how it was back in the day. And, you know, AJ, he just, you know, he did the right things. Never got in a fight with nobody. Even me, I got in a fight, and I got my master's degree. You know, turned my life around. AJ didn't even get a chance to do anything. You know, it's messed up. I mean, we lost my mother at a young age. Never thought I'd lose my brother. And you know, He seen me go to college and do the right things. I inspired him. He wanted to make a difference from the life that we live, and he didn't even get a chance to do that. Didn't even get to live to turn 21. I'm 25 years old. He doesn't even know what it's like to be 21. Let alone, didn't even, man, something has to change.
Amen.
Something has to change.
We're gonna do it. Thank you.
Something has to change.
I have a
Uh,
question for you, sir, before you go.
Yes.
Did AJ talk at all about crime at the school, or, I know that Mr. Crump had mentioned that he wasn't really advertised with the amount of crime that was happening. Did he ever talk to you about what was happening in the neighborhood?
Had AJ known that Dollar General was a dangerous place, he wouldn't even have applied to work there. He wasn't there for over a year. If he had known that, he wouldn't even have went there to work there.
And what's your full name?
Quantavious Laguerre. Yes.
We're gonna spell it for,
Quantavius Laguerre, Laguerre. Sir.
Mr. Laguerre, Will Brown, WJCT News. What is something that you would like the public to know about your younger brother that they don't know, but you definitely think that they should know?
I'll say just one thing. He loved video games, and he was very quiet. You know, he had his circle close of friends, but other than that, he wasn't really folk around everybody else. He wasn't just wasn't in everyone's face. But the one thing he put in his bio was make life the best of it. The best of your life. Like live life to your fullest, and do with what you can. And he was a very positive person. Through the 19 years that I know him,
good kid.
never complained. I'm talking about you don't even know. You wouldn't know if he didn't like anything unless you asked him personally. He will eat whatever is put in front of him. He would, go with whatever life throws at him. He'll make the most of it. And honestly, I mean, people deem me as a strong guy, but he's the one that inspired me. I never hear him complain, and then here I am complaining about certain things. I look at AJ, and he's, going with the flow. Never complained. I'm not being biased. Like, he literally never complained, ever. He was a guy that, get along with anyone, never stirred no trouble, and just a real good human being. And for him, and that's why, I question. It's like, they say don't question God, but you take a guy that literally is the epitome of,
Good.
a good kid. His life just gets viciously taken away from him because he's at work. I don't understand. I don't.
No, thank you, brother.
I don't understand.
None of us understand. It's not fair. Thank you. You got them today? Thank you. We'll have Misha. Is Misha coming?
It's obviously difficult for everybody, especially losing your mother. Does anybody have any questions for Armisha today?
This is Angela Carr's daughter, who was in the car. Can I get a little closer if you can?
I do just want to say that this has shattered an entire family. 13 grandkids, 3 kids. She gave everyone knew her as an amazing woman. She was everyone's mama, grandma, nana. And this has hit hard for home because she now has kids and grandkids that don't know where nana is. They want their nana home, and it's hard for us to keep. We just want justice for this.
Amen.
I'm sorry.
No, you did fine. Any questions? If not, we'll have, yes, sir.
I'm sorry, Will Brown, WJCT News. With such a large and extended family, how difficult is it to explain the for lack of a better word, saying the hate that led to your mother's
It's no
passing?
words to explain to children of that we teach them and we've raised them and she's raised us to teach them love everyone, no matter skin, race, religion, creed, anything. And for them to know someone, she's just minding her business, waiting, she's doing her job, she's waiting on someone to come out of a store, and a man who doesn't like someone else for their race just takes hers. It's not fair. So it's hard to explain that when you have 6 and 5 and 4-year-olds and babies, and we have little kids at home. It's hard to explain how Nana's gone.
And you said she was texting.
She was
Yes,
texting my
yeah.
oldest as her head was down in the video. She was letting them know she's on her way home.
She was texting your oldest child name?
They were at her house for like the weekend, and she never came back home.
With due respect, with children with grandchildren at such a formative age, like you mentioned, early elementary school and early developmental, that's when children learn to treat other people with respect.
Exactly.
Does that reinforce in any way what's lacking in our,
It
frankly, what's
does.
lacking in our
It
country?
lets us know that not everyone is going to raise their children or their families to love one another or to love other people. So either way, regardless of this situation, we're still going to raise our kids to love and understand and respect others regardless.
Yes. Amen. Thank you, Amisha. And then, now we have Demonay, who's Jerry and Gallen's sister, speak for him along with their family members.
You just want to answer questions?
Okay.
If anybody has any questions?
This is his mother, sister, daughter, and all their family.
My question is just, can I get you guys' reaction when you initially received the phone call that day about exactly what transpired at the Dollar General store?
Well, when I received the call from his mother, I'm the mother of grandmother of Jasia. When she called me and said Gerald was shot, I'm thinking arm, leg, nothing like this, until I got to the hospital and talked to Carol and found out it was more. So I went to the scene, and it was just heartbreaking.
I got the phone call. He usually called me every morning. And
Can you step up to the mic?
he usually called me every morning. I got the phone call. His girlfriend was screaming and hollering. She told me Gerald was shot. I started screaming and hollering. His sister, his siblings, they started screaming and hollering. So I'm like, where are you? And she said it was at the Dollar General. And she said she was studying hollering that please, the ambulance, please get him, please get him. So when I talked to her again, she told me that the ambulance had rushed him to the emergency room. We go straight to the emergency room looking for him. No ambulance came in. So we sit there and we wait, thinking they just don't want to tell us anything yet. My cousin called me and told me there was no rescue left to scene. Everyone was still at the scene. And I can't say that.
No, thank you.
I have
Where's
one
this
more
emotion?
question. Just talk about how distasteful it is for certain people in the world to hate black and brown communities and black and brown people just in general that much that you want to kind of do what happened essentially at Dollar General that day.
Say something.
Could you rephrase that again?
I was just saying, just talk about how distasteful it is in general for certain people to hate black and brown communities. Just in general, if you could maybe elaborate on that, just in general.
Well, I was raised to love everyone. You know, I didn't come up in a household where you don't talk to this person because of the color of their skin. You don't hate this person because of the color of their skin. We just got along. Kids get along. Little kids get along.
Yeah.
At their impressionable age is when they start growing from what they're being taught. After that, I feel like all that starts at home. That learning starts at home. Hate, love, all that starts at home.
Yeah.
I-
No, you're fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
This might be more for the attorneys, but
Okay.
we haven't quite touched yet on the shooter's
Yeah, I
parents
can
in
step
this situation. So I'm wondering why you guys also chose to include them and what you think might happen with that.
No, it's a great question. I think I'll piggyback off what Carol said. It starts at home. If you looked at the complaint, you see the pictures, you see the readings, you see what the shooter, when you represent victims of gun violence, you don't mention the shooter's name. So you all can do that how you choose, but we won't be mentioning his name. So in this case, we brought the case not only against the estate of the shooter, but also against the parents. And one of those reasons is to find out why. You know, when we think back, maybe many of y'all out there remember the first that comes to mind of mass shootings to me, which is Columbine. And all the warning signs even back then with those two individuals. Well, we've had a lot since. We are in a record number of mass shootings this year. And this case in particular looks to be an exact copycat of the Tops case in Buffalo.
Yeah.
And so we need to get to the bottom of what's happening in these homes. What's happening at home, what is going on with social media, the dark web, what hate groups are influencing. And when you have younger individuals, he was 21 years old at the time of the shooting. We fully recognize he was not a minor. What did the parents know about the AR-15 that he bought just a couple months before? Only a couple years after he was Baker acted. What did they know? And I will tell you, this case is absolutely about justice. Because we may find out they didn't know all that much. But America needs to know. These families need to know, what did those parents know about him and what could have been done? Because otherwise, we're all going to be in a room like this again in a year with the same thing. And some people offer thoughts and prayers. But you know who's going to be traumatized by that? Everyone up here. It's going to be someone else's loved one. But they're going to sit there at home, I can't believe this has happened again. And that is what Ben and I have seen through our cases over and over again. So in this case, we do want to find out what was going on at home.
Yeah.
And we'll see where that leads.
And I would just say this, because I think Attorney Haggard is absolutely on point. How many times do we turn a blind eye as to what did they know? And so we want to find out if they knew he had a problem with alcohol, as been suggested, that he had a problem with mental health issues, yet he was fixated on guns and killing people. How much did they know about that? Attorney Wade Roll and I talked about that. He was on prescription medication. Were they aware of that? You know, when he had a room filled with the prescription medicine, alcohol, and firearms with swastika signs on the gun. Is that not a warning sign? And so that's what Attorney Haggard and us lawyers think is the prudent thing for us to do, to find out what do they know. Because this is about justice, and justice really is about trying to get accountability for them, but trying to prevent the next race-motivated mass shooting in America. that seems to happen every month. This is what this lawsuit is about.
Mr. Attorney Crump, there, obviously you mentioned that this has similarities to the top shooting in your perspective. There was also, there have been other race-filled shootings. Candidly, were you surprised that it happened in Florida, or was there,
Man, Mike and I were talking about, you know, how hard it is to hold a gun manufacturer accountable in our state of Florida. That it seems to be anybody can get their hand on a gun, even people in your Parkland case who have been Baker Acted, people here who have mental health issues. You know, anybody can get a gun in Florida. And at some point, we got to say, that's part of the reason we're having all these mass shootings. People can get assault weapons that can kill a great number of people in a short amount of time. And if we keep sticking our head in the ground like an ostrich, we're going to have another set of families up here before the end of the year. And the fact that it happened in Jacksonville, you know, you saw it happen in New York, you saw it happen in South Carolina, you saw the Jewish synagogue get shot up in Pennsylvania, and Texas, the Hispanic school get shot up. And you knew it was going to happen again in Florida. You thought Parkland would have made us tighten the reins, our leadership tighten the reins and say, not again in Florida. But because we failed to act, it happened here in Jacksonville.
to be clear, a mass shooting in Florida or a hate-filled shooting in Florida? You said you thought it might happen again in Florida.
Well, I thought that there would be several people being shot by a sick, depraved individual. You know, after Parkland, and Mike worked on that case, he could speak to it more, but they had so many warning signs there. And then here in Jacksonville, when you look at this killer, I know some of the families call him a coward, and I don't object to their characterization of him. There were warning signs there. And you take this hate that's so prevalent in our society, and you take the access to deadly assault weapons, and then you add in the component of a business that puts profit over safety, and you add that all up, and you get the death of AJ, you get the death of Jerian, and you get the death of Angela Carr. I mean, it's almost fundamental when you just add those up.
What have you been able to determine about what is lacking the security there at Dollar General? Have they said anything to you about, you know, the last time they had a security guard there? Any details or specifics about what should have been at other, or what is at other Dollar General stores that wasn't stored?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Dollar General has security guards at a multitude of stores. And it's based on, you know, when you have crime rates, and they have a significant crime rate, not only at this store, but in other Dollar Generals throughout Jacksonville. And we all know, I mean, it's rare that you have a case where you can track where the shooter went and saw them be deterred by security that very day. I mean, I've unfortunately handled hundreds and hundreds of gun violence and negligent security cases. I've never had this type of tracking system to conclusively show that. But I want to return a little bit to Florida again, because after Parkland, as we all know, you could buy a AR-15 in the state of Florida at the time of Parkland if you were 18 years old. And there was a debate following that in the session, and they raised it as a compromise to 21. Where you can quote any neuroscientist in the world, and they will tell you that the brain does not develop till well after 25. There were amendments that day, when that bill passed, to at least be 25 years old, which makes total sense unless anybody can honestly sit here and say your brain's fully matured at 21. Had those amendments passed, which neuroscientists, the Brady Center, the Gifford Center, all the different centers that study gun violence, the CDC, what you name it, said at least 25. Had they done that, we wouldn't be here. Because that AR-15, unfortunately, was bought legally in the state of Florida months before this. Last session, there was talks of doing what? Going back to 18. And I couldn't agree with Ben more. You have a plethora of things coming together. You have mental health, you have hate, you have racism, easy access to military weapons, and you have corporations that say, well, we're not gonna do anything about it. And that's why we're here.
Any other questions?
Just to the families, first of all, I'm so deeply sorry for every single one of your losses. I know it's something that's irreplaceable, but I'm curious, what would finding some semblance of peace ever look like for you and your families again? What would it take for any of you to get there?
I think Quaterus would be the best.
Honestly, if someone is held accountable, and I know that nobody else has to come up here just as my family and the other families, because I can't bring AJ back. They can't bring none of their family members back. But if I know that there's some sort of accountability, that this won't happen again, and no one else has to be up here, that can just bring a little bit of peace to me.
Yes.
Mr. LeGarrette, what is your personal hope that this lawsuit will do specifically for Dollar Generals across the country?
Security.
Security, man. I mean, literally, like I said, have my brother known, you know what I'm saying, if this, have my brother known if he was gonna go into work to be killed, I'm pretty sure no one would go into that place. You thought, you go into work, you wake up, you go into work thinking everything is good. The day I received the call, I was on my way up to Jacksonville. It was my grandmother's birthday, not even 5 days prior. And I was coming up, gonna surprise them. I was gonna tell AJ to call off. And I didn't come in time. I didn't come in time. I thought when I got to my grandmother's house, AJ would be home after work. He wasn't. So some sort of peace would be for someone to be held accountable and for this to never even happen again. That's all I want. I don't want anyone else to experience what I'm experiencing or anyone else up here is experiencing. I want this to stop. I hear about it all the time. I never thought it would be me. No. And I hear this all the time. When I was younger and I see other victims up here, they say, oh, I never thought it'd be me. We have these laws in place, but at one point in time, slavery was, it was the right thing to do as well. When are we gonna make a change? Something needs to be changed.
Yeah, they said slavery was legal, and we said just because they said it's legal, that don't make it right.
So in that note, for the attorneys, we seen during the summer, the state enacted a series of laws that allow these type of hate crimes to proliferate in the state. From the banning of African American studies to loosening the gun laws in the state. How we, and I say we as a media, can help multiple families that have been affected by this situation to talk about the problematic nature of these laws.
Yes, sir. I will say this as Mike and I were just articulating, it's a plethora of issues. But Attorney Natalie Jackson and I, our law firm, we fight against these, what we believe, bigoted and biased policies that are being passed to talk about banning African-American advanced placement history and having to teach middle school students that slavery was good for their grandmothers and grandfathers. It is offensive, it's asinine, it's ludicrous, but it is also a component of what we see manifesting in America today. We talked about, Sarah, when it's the young, when they're going after young minds, trying to indoctrinate them with hate. Mike just talked about how the brain is still developing. I don't think it's any wonder that we're seeing so many young white men commit these race-motivated mass shootings. People are radicalizing their young minds to do ungodly things. And there are so many factors that lead to that we need leaders to lead. We need them to not try to play on the least common denominator amongst us. They need to be true leaders that speak to the morals and the humanity of society and not try to prey on the divisiveness. It's easy to divide people. Great leaders bring people together. And that's what we need. And I do think a lot of those policies that were adopted in our state has led to all these race-motivated injustices that we see happening. And so thank you for the question. And obviously it's very emotional to us because we got black children. And it's not just a news story. It's real to us. We think, oh my God, is it going to be my loved one, as Quatavia said? I never thought it would be me. Some of us are starting to think that it could be us. We keep seeing it happen too much in America. And now Jacksonville community know far too real that it can happen. I mean, he went to that HBCU for a reason. And so we should be talking about black history. We should be talking about Latina history. We should be talking about everybody's history has contributed to the greatness of America versus trying to tell people that they have no value, they're irrelevant. You can kill them and it doesn't matter. It does matter. And I apologize for getting emotional, but we tired of them killing black people and sweeping it under the rug.
Well, and you asked too, I couldn't agree with Ben more, what the media can possibly do. Well, when we talk about this problem in America and someone says, well, mental health's a problem, ask them how many bills they filed on mental health. Ask them about the appropriations bill that they filed to double, triple, quadruple mental health. Because we have a mental health problem, then, and that's why our government's not doing anything about guns, well, then we should be funding mental health, right? At record numbers. Because we lead the world without any competitor in gun violence deaths. You can add up everybody else. There's only 335 million people in America. There's 6.5 billion on the planet. And we lead by far. And when you spew the hate and you start doing these bills and you start getting people fired up in the community, you give them easy access to military-style weapons, what do you think is going to happen? So I think that's something, ask the tough questions, as you all always do. And we promise to provide the answers to that great question of some of the theories we have in this case, to try to get those out to you, to do the one thing that I know Ben and I want to do most, and I darn sure know the families want more than anyone, is I don't want to ever stand up here again.
Yeah.
I don't want to ever, I'm sick of being at a conference room table with people who've lost their children. Yeah. And if you don't think it's coming to you, you can ask me. Because after all I've handled all these cases, a boy I coached football down in inner city Miami, got his dream shot to go to the University of Virginia, and he was shot and killed in a bus. So it came to my doorstep. It's coming to everybody's doorstep.
Unless we
Happens
do something
everywhere.
about it.
So we gotta do something. Thank you all very
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, thank you, Mike.
Can I ask the ladies that spoke, can we get their names? Can you spell your name so we will?
I can give it to you.
Thank you all very much.
Thank y'all to the media. We all got a role to play.